Nolan King here for MMA Junkie, and I'm joined by UFC lightweight Alexander Hernandez, who's training through this quarantine. He's preparing for a fight, UFC 249 against Islam Makhachev. Alex, how you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty swell given the circumstances, man. I'm doing all right. How are you, Nolan?
I'm doing well, man. I can't complain. I'm just doing pretty much what everybody else is doing, just sitting around, trying to make the best of what I have. But let's jump right into it, man. With you, you
Yeah.
kind of have some interesting circumstances here, preparing for a fight, not really knowing where it's going to happen. Your opponent, we don't know what's going on with him. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you think the coronavirus pandemic has affected what you're trying to do in this training camp?
You know, in the beginning, it felt a lot like maybe like a 7. Uh, but man, after that initial hysteria and the panic, you go to the grocery store and you feel like it was apocalypse now. It was just like mass hysteria and fear. And I was getting kind of frustrated because trifecta meals weren't coming through. And so, food resources were just getting difficult. I mean, the produce aisle was still open, but just getting in and out of there was a bitch. The gym hours were being limited. The city got shut down a little bit over a week ago, and so everything was kind of like kind of closing in, and it just looked a little bleak. And I was like, man, this definitely does suck. But I mean, we turned that shit around real quick. I've got a great team of people. I got real altruistic guys on my team that are willing to do anything for the cause. So, and fortunately, Brazilians just don't seem to give a fuck. So we kept the same stronghold running. We boarded up the windows. I've got butcher tape all over my walls, so it looks like we got a meth lab cooking in the back. But we've just been going in there and running operations all the same. Now I got the meals coming in, and now at this point also, it's not like I need general work or general partners. It's very specific work, and so we've just been going in, getting the strategy accomplished, and getting out real quick. So it's been good, man. Honestly, I got a grip of it pretty quick, and I've been crushing it. I'm in better shape than I was my last camp. My last camp, I felt like I was in the best shape I'd ever been in, and I'm ready to go. So.
And talking to a lot of the other fighters on this card, it seems like the UFC is kind of keeping their hand close to their chest. They haven't really been telling the fighters much about what the latest is with their opponent or what the latest is with the event location. Have you heard anything from them, or has Jason heard anything recently?
No, same. I was talking to my manager, Iridium House, the other day or yesterday. I've been talking to him a couple times a day. And we're just all kind of in the dark. It's like everything else. It's kind of like when we hear the official word, you all hear the official word. Shit, half the time I wait for a tag on Instagram to know that that something's locked in. So yeah, I heard obviously with Habib being stuck in Russia, I imagine Islam was on the same plane out there, and so even the circumstances of my opponent are a little hazy at this point. Um, Everything's been hazy, and they are keeping kind of all the information close to their chest because they're uncertain. I'm sure they don't want to be making any more false announcements. So it's just been kind of, a fog, but just keep following this little UFC yellow brick road through all the scary shit on the sides and just hoping there's an arena and a pot of gold at the end. But yeah, we're kind of in the dark.
And talking about your training, when you're a guy that I feel like the mental side of it, the preparation is something that you thrive in. You've talked about it before in interviews that we've done. Is it tough at all to prepare for, opponent X? Like obviously you're going into a training camp to prepare for a wrestler, but if they turn around and say, okay, you're not going to fight him, you're going to fight a kickboxer. Like, how do you prep for that now, knowing that there's a pretty solid chance it's not going to be him when you get in there?
Yeah. I mean, my mind's been a steel trap this entire camp. I mean, I've had this attitude of I just don't give a fuck, and it's beautiful. It's blissful. I haven't had that attitude since probably the Dariush fight. And like, finally it's back. Like, I really just do not give a fuck. And I'm prepared to fight like a man who's got nothing to lose. So the opponent doesn't matter. I've always said that one of the things I pride myself on is my balance and disciplines. I believe one of the best well-rounded athletes out there. And I don't really have vulnerabilities where I fear a grappler or a striker or anything. So I'm back to this sort of flow state of just enjoying practice, loosening up the strict strategy, and just going back to having fun. Because my biggest caveat sort of to my game is that sometimes I get too locked in onto a move or an idea or a strategy, and it's like I start trying to go left too much, and it's like, man, you can go right. It's like, oh shit, can I? It's like, yeah, dude, go right. So like, it's like, okay, I got to remove these blinders, go both ways, kind of enjoy the full game instead of just being so locked into one idea, modality, or just like strategy. So that's kind of what we've been doing, is like loosening the reins, pulling off the blinders, and just having fun this last week.
So if Islam Makhachev isn't going to be the guy that steps in the cage with you at UFC 249, have you thought about it all? Like, do you have any names on the tip of your tongue, maybe guys that you would like to see put in there in his place, or is that not even something that you're thinking about right now?
I've stayed focused on Islam, but also I was kind of perusing the matches for May, and I saw that Ferreira and Dober were matched up in May. So I imagine both those guys had been training and might be prepared to step up. So I'm also thinking about them. But I've said it before. It's always me versus me featuring whomever. So I don't give a damn who they put across from me in that octagon in 2.5 weeks. I've overcome myself, and like I said, I'm in a great place, better place than I've been, I'd say, my entire UFC career mentally. So it doesn't matter. I don't care where it's at. I don't care who it is. We were prepared to go to Abu Dhabi. Next thing I heard, it was Florida. I don't give a shit if it's the moon. I don't care if it's Oklahoma. And I don't care who's across from me. But whoever's prepared and whoever's willing.
And the travel, like obviously the travel aspect of having to travel in the midst of a pandemic. Now, this isn't something that you or I or most people that are alive right now have had to deal with. So are there any concerns on that front, or is it just for you, is fighting the biggest thing right now, and you're just kind of go with wherever the UFC ends up dropping that pin on the globe?
I'm mid 20-year-old without a wife or kids. So for me, life's pretty simple. And the idea of traveling isn't nearly as scary as it might be for like my coaches or my teammates that have families. So I don't like the idea of like putting others at risk, or like their families having to feel burdened by the additional risk I'm putting on them. But I'm prepared, and we've all made an agreement that we're all prepared. So wherever we go, I do hope we're flying private.
Awesome, man. Well, I really appreciate the time. And if the fight does happen April 18th, best of luck, man. As always, thanks.
Thanks, man. Later.